When the glamorous lights of the Venice Film Festival lit up the night, no one could have imagined the shock that was about to ripple across the world. Cameras were flashing, reporters were rushing from one corner to another, and fans were eagerly waiting to see international stars walk the iconic red carpet. But then, out of nowhere, an appearance that no one had dared to predict happened. Demet Özdemir and Yaman, the duo that once captured millions of hearts, showed up together, side by side. For a moment, it felt like time had frozen. Fans screamed, journalists almost dropped their microphones, and the photographers couldn't click fast enough. This wasn't just another celebrity sighting, this was the reunion that fans had been whispering about for years. The Venice Film Festival suddenly turned into the epicenter of an emotional earthquake. As Demet stepped out of the sleek black car, her shimmering gown caught the lights in a way that made everyone gasp. She looked radiant, elegant, and confident, a true star ready to conquer the night. But what stunned the world wasn't just her breathtaking look, it was the fact that right behind her, walking just a few steps away, was Yaman. Dressed in a sharp, tailored tuxedo, he looked every bit like the global superstar Italy had fallen in love with. Their eyes met for a second as they paused on the carpet, and that was all it took for the entire atmosphere to explode with tension, nostalgia, and hope. Were they there together? Was it just a coincidence? Or had fate brought them back to the same place at the same time, under the brightest lights in Europe? Social media erupted instantly. Within minutes, hashtags like #DemetandCan, #VeniceShock, and #Reunion of the Year were trending worldwide. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Some were in tears, others were screaming with joy, and many were convinced that this was no accident, it was a deliberate moment meant to send a message. But what was that message? Was it a professional collaboration? A secret project being unveiled at Venice? Or something far more personal, something that went beyond cameras and scripts? The questions kept piling up, and the answers were nowhere in sight. All anyone knew was that the chemistry between them was undeniable, even after all these years. And yet, beneath the glamour, whispers began to circulate. Insiders claimed that this reunion wasn't entirely spontaneous. Some said that Demet had been invited to Venice for a European film premiere, while Can had been scheduled for his own spotlight connected to Sandokan and his ongoing projects. But then, quietly, behind closed doors, something shifted. Sources close to the festival revealed that their arrivals had been strategically planned just minutes apart, but both stars insisted on walking the carpet around the same time. Could it be that they wanted to make a statement together? Or was this their way of reclaiming the narrative that tabloids and gossip had stolen from them years ago? Whatever the truth, the scene in Venice was unforgettable. And it was only the beginning of a night filled with rumors, emotions, and revelations that no one had seen coming. As the flashbulbs kept exploding and the crowd's energy grew wilder, every tiny gesture between Demet Özdemir and Yaman became the subject of intense speculation. Observers noticed how Demet, while smiling for the cameras, slightly tilted her head toward Can, just enough to spark the impression of warmth. Meanwhile, Can, ever the gentleman, held back for a moment as if allowing Demet to take her spotlight first. This small act didn't go unnoticed. Fans online quickly pointed out how his body language screamed both respect and admiration. Could this really be just coincidence? Or was it a silent acknowledgement of the bond they once shared? The journalists on the carpet tried to stay professional, but the temptation was too great. One reporter dared to shout, "Demet! Can! Together again after so many years, what do you have to say to your fans?" The two stars exchanged a brief glance that seemed to last a lifetime. Demet offered a polite smile, pressing her lips together, as if carefully choosing not to reveal too much. Can simply raised his hand in a subtle wave, his eyes flickering with something that fans interpreted as emotion. That silence, that refusal to put things into words, only added more fuel to the already blazing fire. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than words, and this was one of those moments. Meanwhile, behind the velvet ropes, insiders whispered about what had been happening earlier that day. Apparently, Demet had flown into Venice just the night before, quietly and without much press coverage. Can, on the other hand, had already been in Italy for several days, preparing for appearances related to his projects. But here's the twist: multiple sources confirmed that the two had actually crossed paths at a private cocktail event just hours before the red carpet. According to those present, the atmosphere was electric when they saw each other. Some even claimed that Can approached Demet first, greeting her warmly, while she seemed caught off guard but happy. Could that brief private moment have set the stage for the show-stopping reunion we saw later on the carpet? As videos from the red carpet circulated, social media went into overdrive. On TikTok, edits of their side-by-side appearance racked up millions of views within hours. Instagram fan pages filled their feeds with collages comparing Venice to the early days of her Kenzie Kuss, when Demet and Can's on-screen chemistry turned into one of the most talked-about stories worldwide. "It feels like 2018 all over again," one fan tweeted, while another wrote, "They're not acting this time, this is real." The nostalgia was overwhelming, and for many, seeing them together again was like reliving a dream they thought had long ended. But not everyone saw it through rose-colored glasses. Critics suggested that this reunion was nothing more than a publicity stunt, orchestrated to dominate headlines. After all, Venice is one of the most prestigious stages in the world, and what better way to steal the spotlight than to appear together? Some commentators went so far as to call it the most brilliant PR move of the year. Yet, others pushed back, saying that the emotion in their eyes couldn't be faked. Whether planned or not, the authenticity of that moment struck deep. What truly shook fans, however, was the possibility that this night could mark the beginning of something more, be it a project, a friendship rekindled, or perhaps even the reopening of a love story that had never been fully closed. The mystery was unbearable, and everyone was desperate for answers. But Venice wasn't finished revealing its secrets just yet. As the night unfolded at the Venice Film Festival, the buzz around Demet Özdemir and Yaman only grew louder. Inside the festival halls, while Hollywood and European stars were networking and exchanging greetings, all eyes were secretly following these two Turkish icons. Every move they made was dissected. Did they sit close to each other? Did they exchange words? Was there a hidden smile when the cameras weren't pointing at them? The mystery deepened when fans noticed that both Demet and Can seemed unusually at ease, as if being around each other was the most natural thing in the world, even after all these years of distance, rumors, and heartbreak. At one point, during a screening break, witnesses reported seeing Can leaning slightly toward Demet as they engaged in what appeared to be a quiet, intimate conversation. Nobody could hear the words, but the body language spoke volumes. Demet's laughter, soft, brief, but genuine, lit up her face. Can's expression, meanwhile, was a mix of nostalgia and pride, the kind of look that made fans melt instantly. Clips of this supposed exchange quickly hit Twitter and Instagram, where captions like "The spark is still there" and "Some things never fade" spread like wildfire. But here's where the intrigue thickens. Multiple industry insiders hinted that this reunion may not have been left entirely to chance. Rumor has it that a European production company is in talks to cast both Demet and Can in a high-profile international film, a project that would unite them professionally once again. Could the Venice appearance have been a carefully planted teaser for what's to come? Or did the producers simply seize the golden opportunity of their simultaneous presence to stir up the buzz? Either way, the result was undeniable. Everyone was talking about them, more than any other star at the festival. Fans weren't the only ones captivated. International media outlets, from Italian tabloids to American entertainment sites, plastered their photos on front pages. Headlines screamed variations of the reunion we've all been waiting for: Demet and Can steal Venice, and Turkish stars take over the festival. It was a global takeover, the kind of media storm that even Hollywood A-listers struggled to match. For once, the spotlight wasn't on the usual red carpet royalty, it was firmly, unmistakably, on two Turkish actors whose chemistry had transcended borders. Yet, behind the glamour, skeptics reminded everyone of the complications. Demet's personal life, marked by whispers of her recent heartbreaks and new beginnings, and Can's well-documented romances and high-profile career moves in Italy, painted a picture of two people whose paths had diverged dramatically. Could they really find common ground again, or was Venice simply a magical, fleeting illusion? The press asked, but neither gave answers. Their silence became the most powerful statement of the night. And just when fans thought they couldn't be more overwhelmed, something happened that pushed the frenzy even higher. A leaked backstage photo began circulating online, Demet and Can, standing close, away from the main crowd, with Demet's hand brushing lightly against Can's arm as they exchanged a private smile. It was subtle, almost innocent, but to millions of fans around the world, it was confirmation that something still lingered between them. Whether it was friendship, respect, or something far deeper, Venice had just reminded everyone of the connection that had never truly disappeared. As the festival's closing gala approached, the tension surrounding Demet Özdemir and Yaman reached its highest point. The whispers, the glances, the viral clips, it all built up to one final moment that no one could have scripted. The stars were gathered for the last red carpet of the night, a parade of elegance and international glamour. Once again, Demet appeared, this time in a dazzling gown of silver and white, shimmering under the Venetian lights like a vision. Moments later, Can stepped onto the same carpet, commanding attention with his confident stride. The crowd held its breath. Would they cross paths again? Or would this time be different? And then it happened. As Demet paused for photos, Can approached from the opposite side. Instead of avoiding one another, they stopped, directly in front of the flashing cameras. For the first time all night, they acknowledged each other openly. Can leaned slightly toward Demet, whispering something that made her lips curl into a smile, delicate yet unmistakably real. The photographers went wild. Shouts of "Look here! Look this way!" filled the air, but in that brief instant, it was as if no one else existed. Just them. Two people, standing under the blinding lights of Venice, sharing a moment that transcended words. Social media imploded. Within seconds, the photo of Can and Demet side by side, exchanging that smile, became the single most shared image of the entire festival. Fans screamed that this was not just coincidence, but destiny revealing itself. Headlines flooded every corner of the internet: love rekindled, Demet and Can, back together, Venice turns into a love story. The frenzy was unstoppable. People across Turkey, Italy, Spain, and even the United States were glued to their screens, convinced they were witnessing history in the making. Yet, the mystery deepened even further when an Italian entertainment journalist revealed that Demet and Can had both been invited to an exclusive after-party hosted by one of the festival's biggest sponsors. While cameras weren't allowed inside, insiders claimed that the two spent much of the evening near one another, engaging in relaxed, genuine conversation away from the spotlight. One source went as far as to say, it was like watching old friends rediscovering each other, but with something more, something unresolved still hanging between them. Whether that was true or simply wishful thinking, nobody could deny the magic surrounding them. By the time the festival wrapped up, one thing was clear: Venice had been theirs. No matter what Hollywood star or European director walked those red carpets, the world would only remember Demet Özdemir and Yaman. Their reunion was bigger than cinema, bigger than celebrity. It was a cultural moment that reminded everyone of the power of nostalgia, love, and fate. The unanswered questions only fueled the obsession. Were they preparing for a new project together? Was this the start of a rekindled relationship? Or was it simply a fleeting chapter, a poetic twist of fate in a city built on timeless romance? As the final fireworks lit up the Venetian sky, Demet and Can disappeared into the night. Fans were left with nothing but speculation, screenshots, and hope. And perhaps, that was exactly the point. The greatest stories aren't always the ones told in full, but the ones that leave us longing for more. And in Venice, beneath the stars and the whispers, Demet and Can had given the world exactly that, a memory that would never fade, and a mystery that would keep hearts racing for years to come.